Hello, everybody, and welcome to Becoming Invincible podcast. I am your host, Tahlia, and I am so excited to have you here. This podcast is to reframe your mindset, challenge those limiting beliefs that you may have when you're navigating all the situations in your life. And I'm here to give you tools to help you navigate them in such a healthy way and to harness your personal power that we tend to lose along the way. So settle up, get ready, grab a coffee, and get ready for some juice in each episode as I throw you what life has thrown me and we can navigate this shit together.
Hey guys, welcome back to another episode. I hope you guys are having a beautiful day. Hope this year has been kicking off to a good start for you guys. I really, really do. It's always such a vibe, starting a fresh new year, even though we all don't think that because there's so much that goes on. But I always like to think of it, it's like fresh start and about what kind of intentions you want to have for the year as well. I kind of want to just have like another episode where I sort of waffle on because I don't really know my titles when I go into my episodes. Kind of use AI a little bit to help me generate a title. And some of the options I like and some of them I don't, or I kind of like rejig it a little bit. So far, I've kind of rejigged a lot of titles because I'm like, oh, I like where that's going, but like, let's call it this, and we're all got to get on board with AI because it can help us so much in like business and in life. And instead of hating the fact that, AI is a big thing, we actually got to get used to it. So I don't know, it's about adapting and things like that. So I really wanted to talk into lately what's come up for me. I actually worked with a beautiful coach I know, and she took me through a process that I needed to go through. I was really feeling in the whirlwind of life, of being a single parent. I was feeling in the whirlwind of just having a lot of things around happen. We kind of get caught up in the day-to-day of just life and feel like we have to have it all together. We got to wear all the hats. I've really just got so swept up in that I wasn't really allowing myself to feel. And it got to the point that I didn't even know where to start. That it's always good when we get to a point in our life where life is just happening. Whether you have children or not, it's always happening, right? And it's always going to be hard in the how do I put this? Life will be hard, and it's always a different hard for different people, right? It's going to be hard for people who have children, and then it's going to be hard for people who don't have children, but just in like such a different way. And a lot of people don't like to think like that. They think, oh yeah, if you don't have kids, you don't have, like, life's not hard. And I totally understand and I resonate with those of you that are parents and think like that. But also we have to understand that everyone has a different hard based on their experiences and what they have at the moment. When people aren't parents yet, we can't just shove that belief on like, you don't know what's having no time unless if you're a parent. Yes, they actually understand what having no time is, but in the capabilities of their life is hard. And we don't want to take away someone's hard just because you think your life is harder. And that is also a bit of a scarcity mindset where it's like you don't know what hard is until you become a parent. And I get that. It's a lot. You're very pushed to a lot. It's a very different hard, but we can't negate someone's experience of life. I have friends who have children and I have friends who don't, but I do feel like the friends who don't have children, their life is actually quite hard, even though I know what life is with children. I just think everyone's at like a different hard and only has the capacity to handle the hard that they know how with. And yeah, like obviously you do need to manage your time better. And, trying to wear all the hats, it can like really be exhausting when you're a parent, but also we can't negate the fact that when people aren't parents, that they also have it hard. And so when we have that mindset of, I have it harder than you, or you're trying to be like, oh, it's so hard, I've got to do X, Y, Z, you're really playing in that realm of victimhood and you want people to feel sorry for you. And you really kind of emphasize that. And sometimes when we want people to feel sorry for us, we want it to stroke their ego. Okay, so sometimes we don't even know we're doing it, But then there is people out there that I have now been introduced to that actually do like that. Like they know that. There's like sometimes when people, they want to like, but I want people to feel sorry for me. I want the attention, blah, blah, blah. It's because they can't give themselves the capacity of love that they need and probably wish that they had when they were a child and ever in their life. I don't think that they've really experienced a sense of love and care truly of what it means to when they're seeking that from people so much, and all they ever want is people to feel sorry for them. That's how I interpret all that. Whether that's true or not, we don't know. This is all from my experience and from my observation and what I know so far in our human behavior. That's what podcasts are here for, guys. We will just talk about our different opinions, and a lot of the people that you have in your life will shape how your life is going to be and how you're going to feel. And it's always up to us on choosing how we want life to feel. And I think this is just where I really want to go with this episode, is that I get a lot of comments all the time, like, how can you even sit in high vibe tiles? Like, I really try, and I know it's about doing things that light you up. And I can't do that because I have kids. I can't do that because I can only do it for a certain amount of a capacity, things like that. And it's really come into my world for quite a little bit now, because I have a capacity to hold a lot. I do work on my nervous system, and I really, really feel like, and it's not that for those that are new, I'm a very spiritual person. Those that aren't new, we know that. And I can trust that people that listen to my podcast do believe in other things than just the normal day-to-day black and white mentality. Black and white is good to have, but when you're constantly living your life like that, you're not allowing yourself to feel expansive and to explore how things can really change in your life. Because in my life, a lot of people go, how have you maintained a good mindset? Like, you just are always so positive and you can just sort of like keep that. And I don't understand how you keep that, because I can only do it for a certain amount of time and then I fall back in old patterning. The more the world goes on and the days go on, the more scarcity gets driven into people, and people start to have that lack mentality and are lacking on believing in themselves. This is where it's about working together and to creating like a better feeling thoughts. It's all about getting better at feeling, all these sort of things. I really want to help people embody a good, fulfilling mindset and, understand that what they can do to help with keeping it, because it is really hard. It definitely is. I still struggle with that. I have my times. And there's also as well, like, don't get caught into the fact that I have a positive mindset, but then I drop into lack, or, I drop into a negative mindset sometimes and I kind of stay there. That is literally life. So the duality of life is that you can experience good and happy and joy and, all those loving emotions, right? You can experience all that. But also at the same time as when you're experiencing happiness, you can experience sadness. And the two are very correlated. There is a lot I see online and, with self-development, that people talk about it, that it's like, if you're in a high vibration, you cannot feel a low vibration. Obviously, in that moment, that point in time, yeah, like you're pretty much present and happy, whatever's going on. But you can be happy in your life and content with how your life is going, but also feel sadness in however the sadness is coming out for you, because that is the duality of life. We don't know daytime without the nighttime. It's not daytime all the time. It goes and drops into nighttime. And it doesn't mean nighttime's bad. It doesn't mean that nighttime is negative. It's just that is the duality of light and dark, day and night. And we can also just flip our perspective a bit better, but also not too much and not too quickly, because we want to feel those emotions. So what I mean by this is that you can experience happiness and be like, oh my gosh, like, I'm so happy for how my life is. But I'm also sad for those of us that are parents. I'm sad that my child has grown up so quickly. I feel like I haven't been present enough. I don't feel like I have really enjoyed those years. For those of us that aren't parents, when we can drop into it is like, I'm so content with my life and how everything is going. But I don't know, it depends if you're single. Like, I wish I had a partner, wish I had someone to share that with, or I wish I was making a lot more money, or I wish I was living somewhere different, whatever it could be. Could even be the fact that you're grieving of something, some sort of loss in your life. So you can have happiness and sadness directly correlated living in your life, because I don't want people to think when they hear a lot of self-development things, if you're feeling gratitude and happiness, you cannot be feeling sadness. Not in that point, in that moment. No, concentrate on the good feeling because you're like, oh my God, I'm so grateful. But then when that moment passes, you could slip into something, or like when those days pass or whatever that time is, that passes and you slip into, gosh, I just wish I was more present, or gosh, like, have I done enough, or do I need to do this, or I wish my body was different, or I wish this, blah, blah, blah. We do drop into that, and that is okay too. We've got to be okay with dropping into a bit of sadness for whatever the reason is in our life, because it doesn't mean that you are depressed or anything. That's just duality of life, and you can have happiness and sadness in the same correlation. I do hear and see that a lot of people promote and say that you can't, and I just really don't agree with it. I feel like that is life. We chase this thing, like for me recently when I worked on with that coach, we just had one session and I just really needed to offload a lot. Like, I just had so much built up. I just needed to release a lot, and I couldn't do it on my own. It was a lot because, as we know, that mindset is a fragment and the rest is like somatic. So in self-development, right, you have your mindset. We work on your mindset to get a better feeling thought, change your perspective, things that way. Then you have your somatic processes, which is actually getting it out of your body, because even though we can have negative thoughts, and there's a lot of in our conscious and our subconscious, whatever you have a feeling thought to, you're feeling in your body. So you've got to get that out of your body, because it can be stored in your body however it wants to be, whether that's back pain, people have IBS symptoms, your gut health. It's literally really related with a lot of that stuff, where it's like, oh gosh, like I never used to have gut problems, but now I do. If you've ever experienced something like that, that is whatever you've experienced in your life and you never felt that properly, that has now stored in your body. Like, that is a thing. And a lot of people think this is just so woo-woo and out there, but it literally is a thing. I am gluten intolerant, but I'm not celiac or anything. And I can manage my gut health a lot better, obviously with knowledge, but then also because I've cleared a lot of inflammation that has happened because of the things that have happened in my life. And not negating that, people who have celiac must have a lot of trauma. No. But when we start to have like issues in our guts, that like so randomly, that is a sign that your body is like, you need to de-stress, because the stress is now stored in your body. So we have the mindset, then you have your somatic practices, which is really more effective with people, but obviously you can do them by yourself. And then after that, it's obviously your action. So it's how you move through your day. It's what you do. What are you doing to expand your life? Like, are you just sitting there watching trash TV all the time? Or are you listening to expansive podcasts or learning a new skill? That is like the difference between the actions. So it really just depends. Like, I'm all for watching reality TV sometimes, but I don't soak myself into it. I'll then go and do some action towards the goals that I want to achieve as well. So we can do both again, but it's just about noticing what actions are you making towards your goals, towards what you want to achieve. So you have your mindset, your somatic, which is your body, and then you also have your action steps. So there's your 3 direct correlational things that happen. And I think a lot of people don't really even know about those, but you definitely learn about them more when you work one-on-one with people, whether that's a therapist, a coach, things like that. You want to get to the raw, like the core root of things, not actually just on the surface level of stuff. Because I do believe that's where a lot of people are feeling as well, where you can't break through to heal a lot of stuff, or like journaling doesn't work, or this doesn't work, but it does. It's just that will be a band-aid when you haven't actually explored what's happening in your body, especially if you're not directly correlating that with your actionable steps, right? So yeah, anyways, I just think that's really important to all touch on, that at the end of the day, we're not broken. It's just about understanding ourselves in every which way we can. And it was funny, I actually shared on my stories a little while ago about people are willing to believe in Wi-Fi and that it's like literally signals like trying to govern all the devices, right? For us to have internet and TV and things like that. But then we're not willing to trust that however we're operating from a vibrational match is an actual thing. Everyone likes to think that's so woo-woo and out there. And I really agree with that. Like everything operates from you. You know, for us as women, especially because we actually govern the household. So how we actually sit and feel with our emotions actually governs the children and our partner. Like men actually just fall in line as such to the woman. And I don't mean that you have power over him. I don't mean it like you should emasculate him. It's literally about that's how we work one-on-one as a couple, like, you know, unity. Because a lot of the time we live couples like I'm doing my thing and you do your thing and we're separate, when actually couples are actually unities, very united. And you can have your separate hobbies, of course, but it's about coming into unity with a lot of things like, you know, financial things. You look at financial, about having your money as a whole instead of just having it, this is my money and this is your money. You have it as a whole, because then why would you be in a partnership if you don't think of your money like this is ours, you know, and thinking of, because we live so much as well in fear of the fact that someone's going to take everything. And I know that this is really prominent with men because they do go through a lot of situations where women have taken a lot of things because they do feel entitled and things like that. But we have to come from a place when you really know someone, their intentions and the love, that it is unity. And you got to trust that, God forbid, whatever was to happen, they would actually walk away evenly. I've always been someone very even. Like when I exited my 6-year relationship, it was very down the line. We always said it would. He got really hurt and he acted from his hurt and wanted to really try me for a lot. I was very blessed at that point in time. I was very like, okay, no, but yeah, understanding that I'm still paying the mortgage, I'm still doing this. Like, you don't get to come and collect my shit along the way. I'm still trying to be as like cordial and like down the line as possible. And because I was like, when I left and we had a house together, I was still putting my bit of the mortgage in. And actually, to actually be really honest, I was actually paying the full mortgage out of my pay at that time, because that's how we divided our bills. He would pay, like I'd pay some bills, he would pay some bills, and then food and whatever other things. And then my pay would literally go on like some bills, and then it would go on mortgage. So I still kept that going because I was so used to living without it, that I was like, okay, well, I'm going to still be doing this, blah, blah, blah. But when people come from an act of hurt, they want to try to feel sort of some sense of control, right? Which is a normal thing. You know, me now looking back, it's a very normal thing. I didn't understand it at the time, and I got really like upset, and I would scream at him 100%. I'm not perfect. I'm really honest in my growth, but I've always just been someone that's very down the line. I'm never to take, like, I'm taking what I owe or whatever. It's like, I want to do things as clean and as promptly as what they need to be. I don't really believe in dragging things out more than what they need to be. And then again, like, obviously when the girl's dad thing happened, he took a lot. But then I could literally sit in my stuff and be like, oh God, like, I could be taken for a ride again. But it's just, you know, understanding that, yes, we get hurt in our life, but you can't bleed that into other aspects of your life, whether you have a new partner or whether you have a promotion at work and like you live in that, oh God, someone could take that from me. These are the things that we need to work on within ourselves to understand and have a sense of safety in ourselves to understand and to not live in fear of our own life. I even have an episode on that. When we can come into unity and be like, everything is one, like, you know, your partner's wins are your wins, whether it's a man and woman, because when you're in a relationship, things kind of swing in different ways. One moment of your relationship where someone's going to give more than the other, but then there'll come another time in that relationship where the other person will have to give more than the other person. and it's their turn. You know what I mean? Like life swings like that. And when we can understand that and come from more of a unity base of like, this is us, my wins are your wins. It's really about coming from that loving place and not from like, oh, fuck, like this could go up in smoke, or putting doubt in anything. When you put doubt in anything, which I actually really, sometimes I wonder that's why me and my 6-year relationship didn't work, is because he put a lot of doubt in our relationship from the beginning, where it's like, but if we were to break up, this and this, and he would state it so much that he was like fueling, because when someone's going, if we were to, and they're constant, you're fueling the relationship of like, when we do. And that could be years down the track, could be months, you just don't know. When you fuel stuff like that, you're not really putting belief in your own relationship, right? So it's about coming into unity with a lot of stuff, because the reason why I say, back when I said a few moments ago where the women, we govern the household, is because women, we're actually emotional, right? We're more emotional than men because they're very logical and direct, right? A lot of women who aren't emotional actually tap that out and suppress a lot of that because they felt like they weren't safe to feel their emotions. And that's sort of why as well. So just before the men come for me and say, I actually met a woman that's not that emotional. Well, that's because, in whatever's happened in their life, that they had to suppress their emotions. They didn't feel safe to feel them when they were a child, when they were in their life in general. We can actually work on that with a coach, a therapist, whatever, to really help with that, because your partner can only do so much at the same time. This is where we're not seeking for people to help us, right? We always help ourselves and choose for ourselves. Generally speaking, women were quite more emotional than men. And so however we're feeling, our partner will pick up on that and they'll follow suit to how we're feeling. Because sometimes if we're feeling really upset and we don't voice that to our partner, he can then feel like he has to walk on eggshells. And that's not a nice feeling. Like, it's really not, guys. I've been in a relationship like that, and I've felt that how our emotions are. And if we're not voicing them, then your partner, because he's a man, or if it's a woman, generally she'll be able to read as well. But, in a standard relationship between a man and a woman, that he will then not know how you're feeling. And sometimes we can expect them to know because, like, can't you read my facial cues? Men can't, and little boys can't. So I really want to put that out there. But women can. We can read our facial cues. We can read a room. That is our instinct. For a man, it's not in their instinct. They can learn that, of course. Definitely over time, a man can learn to read your faces, to get to know you. He can learn to read a room. They can learn that stuff, but that doesn't come instinctively with them like it does with us. So when we are very in our emotions and we're not actually voicing them, that we actually make them feel very uncomfortable. And same with our children. Our children will act on us. And sometimes if my children are having more tantrums in a day, it's because I'm not feeling that great within myself. And I've got to sort myself out, because generally when we do, we have a lot more patience, and then we can actually help our children regulate their feelings. Easier said than done in a lot of moments. I feel you guys, but that is just the direct correlation of how everything goes. It's all vibrational. It's really a thing where you walk into a room and where someone's just had an argument or something, and you walk in the room and you're like, wow, something's just went on here. I can just feel there's some sort of fucking tension. That's a serious thing, and it is always happening all around us day to day, but we only ever really take note when we walk into a situation like that, right? So you would never want someone to constantly feel that way day in, day out, because that is very exhausting, and it would make someone not to want to be around you either. So I really had a lot to really work through with this, where I didn't feel present. Scarlett's really growing up and I can't really believe it. I'm like, holy crap. So we went through like a process of safety, because I didn't feel safe within myself, and I need to give back safety for me and love and nurturing for me, because I didn't really get that growing up, and I have my own things with my family. When those things are present, we have to take out some time in a day to really give back to us. Like, what do you need right now? And really ask yourself. And I think the big thing as well is like remembering that we can incorporate our kids into this. Because one day our kids are going to be adults. Like my partner says to me, he's like, don't you think that's a bit much for your kids to know about regulating? Like when I do practices with them and I tell him about it, he's like, isn't that a bit like much for your kids to, like typical man response, no offense to the men listening. But yeah, and a lot of people can feel like that, like Talia, that's a bit much. Yeah, they don't quite know what's going on. But the more you immerse your kids into stuff like positive things, they're going to understand that that's their normal. And then they're going to be an adult and they're going to be a lot more regulated as an adult than other people. So when we can come from that, that's what changes the world and brings light more into the world. And when you meet those people and you're just like, oh my gosh, like you're such a light, like I want to be around you because you're just so beautiful as like a person, as a soul, you want more of that. But then when we can filter that with our children, they're going to be that for a lot of people. And wouldn't you want that for your child? It can seem like a bit much, but they're watching me regulate my emotions safely instead of taking it out on me or taking it out on each other, because they can like hit each other as siblings do, and actually help them regulate their emotions. You're allowed to feel that, but you can't lay it into your sister, So it's about really changing that and immersing them into this stuff instead of waiting until they're an adult to learn this. Because I was like an adult. I don't want my kids to just have to wait for that long, and especially in how everyone goes on about the world. The world has always been the same. It's just, what are you going to do about it? You can't do anything. It's how we choose to see the world, how we want to live, really pay attention to all of this stuff, because that's what creates our life, not the world and what's going on. It's how we respond to things, right? So yeah, I've really learned to respond better to life and with my girls. And it's all like a practice, nobody's ever perfect. It's just about understanding that sense of choosing what you want for your life, choosing how you want to feel and how you want to move through in your life, and to, immersing your children into it. Like I'm always like, what do I need today? And they're going, what do I need? Like, getting them into stuff like this, because they're going to think that's the norm. And then they can teach their friends who don't know that, which will then teach their other friends. And like it will just ripple out into their life. And that is the expansive part of being a parent, is supporting our kids and to love on them and to know that they're not broken, and to really like have them believe in themselves. A lot of us don't have that and we're only discovering it now. So yeah, really passionate about it. I really feel like I'm meant to be here saying all this. And I really feel like I'm meant to be someone where people need like support and help from. So I really do believe I was always sort of put here to do that. So I hope you guys like that episode. I just think that's enough of my rambling. But I really just want you guys to know that you're not broken or anything like that. It's just about really a change of perspective, and that's really what my podcast show is all about. And it's how we respond to things at the end of the day. And, your life isn't going to be balanced. That's the last thing actually, is we strive for balance so much in life. Like, oh God, I just want to find that balance. You're never going to find balance. Balance is a myth that people fucking created. I swear to God, honestly. You can feel balanced in an area of your life, or maybe two parts of your life, but not all parts. It's literally impossible unless if you work yourself to the bone and you feel absolutely exhausted. And that's if you're doing it alone. If you have support, amazing. That's how you can achieve balance, of course. But when we go into the mindset of thinking in balance, it's actually a lack, because you're never going to live up to something. Not all areas of your life are going to be balanced how you think it's going to be. And once we really understand and go, okay, it's not going to be, that's where the magic happens. And you literally got to surrender to, I'm focusing on this and this part of my life right now, my main parts, and I will pour into the rest. But these two parts are going to be my main focus. That is a lot more expansive than thinking, okay, I got to have this, this, and this all at the same time, happening all the time, whatever. Everything's going to be good. Not everything is going to be good. That is life. You're going to have feelings towards things like, your relationship could be going through a hard time, but your relationship with your children is like the best, and work life is the best. Or it could be relationship's amazing, relationship with your kids is amazing, but your work life is like up in smoke and you don't know how to fucking handle it. Or, your personal life with you're sacrificing a lot of your own needs because you just don't have the energy to give to yourself. That is normal life. That happens. It depends on what you want to give. Like, what is your main focus, in your life to filter through all the parts? And when we can look at it like that, that's how we think we've got to do a lot to achieve a lot. Yes, you've got to take action 100%. And for the men listening, you're going to find this really hard because you guys are very logical. For women, we're actually a lot more spiritual and creative, so we can sort of feel into this, whereas you guys have to work to actually have this mindset. And that's not shame on you. I just know it's really hard. My partner struggles a lot of the time thinking I'm like an idiot. Sometimes I think, where it's like, babe, that just doesn't happen. It's like, it does. Sometimes the less you do, sometimes the more that will happen. Like, yeah, you keep doing the action and you keep showing up and you keep doing the things, whatever it is you're achieving, of course. But sometimes we can overextend and be like, oh God, I've got to do this, this, and this. And we get so caught up in that cortisol. And then what is driving us is the dopamine, because we're getting such dopamine hit of like, oh my God, I'm doing so much. Because that's what society wants us to believe is like hell good. And you're getting that dopamine fix of like, oh my God, I'm doing it. Look at me. And when really, if we pull back and just go, okay, I'm going to focus on this part and this part of my life as my main two priorities. And I will still filter in everything else, but they're just not as a big enough priority right now. And when we can come from that space and you're still taking action and you're still doing the things, but some things you're just not going to be able to get to it right away, or they're going to fall to the side, that is okay. Having that feeling of like, that is okay and I'm okay with that, is actually quite expansive than, oh my God, look at me, I can do it all and I can work fucking 24/7 and don't need a fucking break. Give me a fucking medal. No, you don't need a fucking medal. You need a fucking break. And this is how we can burn ourselves out. So that is another note I really wanted to leave on, actually, because I think that's so important for everyone to really kind of reframe, because I really thought that was a thing and I just wasn't, like, the more I was doing, the less I was achieving. But then now that I've really like, okay, let's just focus slowly, the more I'm actually achieving and the more time I feel like I have, which actually blows your mind, but it is a thing. So I know those of you that are really into that will really find that comforting. But I really appreciate you guys listening, as always. I really, really do. I'm very blessed of how far my podcast has reached, and it's only like a little podcast, not like, Jay Shetty or anything. But I really appreciate you guys. I hope you're having a beautiful start to the new year and everything. And I will talk to you guys on another episode. Definitely listen back if you need to, because there's a lot said in this, as many. But I really hope you guys are having a good day. And I'll talk to you another episode. And I just really am grateful, guys. You have no idea.